Hi everyone, welcome to online instruction, day 1 for us. This is going to work a little bit differently than the way I would teach you in the classroom. I have all of the notes that correspond with these videos available on my Microsoft Teams page. The directions on how to get assignments for my class, they're going to be the same every single time. They're going to be on my website if you have any confusions about how to get to them. Today we're going to start with graphing inequalities. So there's 2 main things you need to know with graphing inequalities. And that is if there's a line underneath and which way the arrow is pointing. So what you're going to do is if it's a greater than sign or a less than sign, there is no line underneath these, so we're going to write open circle. Oh, a little sloppy there. We're going to write open circle for those 2. Because if there's no line underneath, that means that the number that we're circling is not included in our answer. If it sounds like I'm speaking gibberish right now or you have no idea what I'm saying, once I do some examples, it will get a lot easier, I promise. And if there's a line underneath, it's going to be a closed circle. Okay, so, and the way that arrow points is going to matter. If it's pointing towards the right, and we're talking about this right now as if the variable is on the left side. So like these 4 examples you see here, each of them have the X on the left side, and that does matter. If the X is on the left and we're pointing towards the right, we're going to point towards the right with our arrow on the number line. So the way we graph on a number line is first thing we want to do, how about we draw the number line first? That'd be a great place to start. Let's find a dark color. We'll do a gray. So there's our number line. And you want to see what number we're talking about here. So 4. We're going to plot that 4 right in the middle. We're going to go 2 numbers above, 2 numbers below. So we have 5, 6, 3, and 2. Now, this is the part where we look if we have the line underneath. If there's a line underneath, we're going to put a closed circle around the 4. If there is no line underneath, we're going to put an open circle. So, there's no line underneath, so we have an open circle on the 4. It is pointing towards the right, and the X is on the left side of it, so we're going to point that arrow towards the right. And what this means is we're graphing all the numbers that are bigger than 4. So the arrow should go over all the numbers that are bigger than 4. So if you're not sure about all the rules I just said, pick any number that your arrow is over. So pick 5. Think to yourself, is 5 bigger than 4? Is 5 greater than 4? Yeah. So we know we graphed this correctly. So that's a good way to check yourself. X is less than or equal to -5. Again, let's draw that number line for ourselves. -5 is going to go go smack in the middle. We're going to go 2 numbers above, again, and 2 numbers below. But be careful with negatives. If you think of your number line, like think of the one I have on top of the smartboard in my classroom, when you go towards the right of negative numbers, it seems like the numbers are getting smaller. They're not. It's just because it's getting closer and closer to 0. -1 is closer to 0 than -5. So that means that -1 is actually further to the right on the number line than -5. So -4 and -3 are going to go on the right. -6 and -7 are going to go on the left. Now, we're going to circle our number in the middle, And we have to figure out if that's an open circle or if that's a closed circle. So since there's a line underneath it, that means it's going to be a closed circle. The reason it's a closed circle is because inequalities tell us what is included in our answer. If x is less than or equal to -5, that means -5 can be included in our answer. So anything that's shaded or shaded over can be included or can be filled in for that x and that inequality and still remain true. So -5, if we filled this in here, -5 is less than or equal to -5. That is true. So that's why closed circles work. So the x is on the left. We're going to shade to the left. We're going to draw that arrow over the left because those are all the numbers that are less than or equal to -5. Let's pick a number to be sure. -7. Is -7 less than or equal to -5? Yeah. It's further away from 0. Little tricky to think about because you're thinking, hey, 7's bigger than 5. But in the negatives, it works a little bit differently than your brain would, your first instinct. So x is greater than or equal to 0. So we're going to put that 0 smack in the middle. We're going to go 2 numbers above, 2 numbers below. 1 and 2, -1, -2. It does matter that your numbers are in the right order. If you are thinking, I had -1, -2, 0, 1, 2, that is incorrect. You cannot do that. It has to go in order of the number line. So x is greater than or equal to 0. So you're going to circle that 0. Since it's a closed circle, you are going to shade in there. We're pointing towards the right, so we're going to shade our arrow towards the right, and that only works here because the x is on the left side. Pick a number that your arrow goes over. Pick 2. Is 2 greater than or equal to 0? Well, yeah, 2 is. And we have one more to do. Let's draw that number line. If I were you, the cool thing about technology is you can pause and play it whenever you want. So if I were you, I would take the chance right now to try this on your own before I do it with you. You can pause the video and then come back to me to check it. Cool thing about technology. All right, so we're going to put -1 smack in the middle. 2 above, 2 below. -1, 0, 1, -2, -3. We are going to have an open circle here because there is no line underneath that inequality. Our x is on the left and our arrow points towards the right, the left, so we're also going to point our arrow towards the left. So now, let's check. Pick any number. -3. Is -3 less than -1? Yeah, checks out. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Keep up to date with my website. If you have any questions, please reach out. I set up a Remind app. Feel free to send me messages on there asking for help. I'll be happy to answer your emails. If you want to set up a Microsoft Team video conference, happy to do that. Whatever I can do to help in these crazy, crazy times. All right, have a lovely day, and I will talk to you soon.